Alright, so this game, I'm sure that if you've already clicked on this YouTube link, then you have either bought a copy of this game, or you're interested in buying a copy of this game, or you're thinking of the wrong game. This is Iron Storm by Working Designs for the Sega Saturn, also known as Daisenryaku in Japan. Working Designs decided to translate it into Iron Storm because they were afraid that Daisenryaku would be too hard for kids and parents to pronounce, so they could not write it on their Christmas wish list back in 1996. Nowadays, they don't even put English on movie and video game covers here in 2014. So if they were to remake this game, they could probably still call it Daisenryaku, which they actually did for the Xbox, Daisenryaku 7. But between the two, because I own both that copy and this copy, between the Xbox version and the World War II adaptation for the Sega Saturn, I prefer the World War II adaptation for the Sega Saturn. You'd think being on Xbox it would have better graphics, better music, and better sound. Unfortunately, that is just not the case. But what we're going to do here is I'm going to actually give you guys a rundown, because I actually spent a whole day trying to figure out the rules for this game because I wasn't used to it. And it's really not that complicated, but it comes with a very thick and colorful manual, and if you're the kind of person who doesn't read video game manuals, you'd be probably tempted to discard this game and not even consider playing it. However, on the other hand, if you are one of those collectors who love to collect the Sega Saturn and you love Working Designs, hence because of the Sega Saturn masterpiece Dragon Force, and also the RPG work of wonder Albert Odyssey, which actually I like this game better than Albert Odyssey, but I do not like Iron Storm more than Dragon Force. Dragon Force is hands down one of the greatest video games of all time. Anyway, we're going to go right into it, and we're going to start. I'm going to just teach you the basics on how to play this game. So that way, if you're the kind of person who doesn't want to read a manual, you don't have to. You can just simply watch a YouTube video on how to play this game. So, without further ado, those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. It's by George Santayana. Sounds like President Obama needs to read that socialist. Alright, let's go. Let's press start. There we go. Tactical command. This is where we basically start the game. Now I've put probably maybe 50 hours into this game, but we're gonna actually start from the beginning. We're gonna go with a standard match. We're not gonna do campaign, just to give you the basics of it. One, I strongly encourage, if you are playing this game, is that you save. This game will kick your butt. You can adjust the difficulty. It's kind of interesting. You adjust the difficulty a little differently in this game than in most games. There's not really a normal, a easy mode or a hard mode. It all depends on how you adjust the rules of the game. But I think the number one rule you need to keep in mind when playing this game, I'll show you from my continue file here. If I can press start. There we go. C is start. It's been a while since I played this. As you can see, I've got file 1, file 2, file 3, file 4. I have 4 save files in this game. And if you're interested in, for those of you who are interested in buying this game, do not buy this game if you do not have a backup card for your Sega Saturn. Because according to the back of the box, this thing takes 312 blocks of backup. And I can't remember what it is. I think it's like 150, maybe it's 200, whatever. Or it might. I actually think it's 300 blocks. So you will be 12 blocks if you delete all the files on your Sega Saturn and you buy this game. You will still not be able to save anything on it, because not even one save, because I believe there's only 300 blocks of space on the actual hard drive itself. So if you don't have a backup RAM, then you're kind of screwed, and I would definitely invest. Fortunately, my wife, when she went yard selling, she bought the Sega Saturn with it came with one, which is extremely rare, because I think the going rate for a backup drive is like $50, and the Sega Saturn alone now is like going $60-70. As modern games become more and more crap, you'll notice that older consoles are getting more and more expensive. And the Sega Saturn you used to be able to find online for like 30-40 bucks. Now it's gone up to 60 or 70, just because people are realizing this is a great game. Okay, so anyway, yeah, save often. So let's do a standard. France will be a good place to France will be a good place to start. We're just doing a random map. I think you start off as German on this map. They predetermine what you're going to play. Although when you're doing a standard map, you can choose which side you want to be on, which is really nice. Yep, we're going to be the German Empire. Weather, that's very important, is clear. Terrain, you can see is normal. Date, it's 1940, May 10th, and we have to beat this before 1940, is that August 17th? So, press C to continue. Alright, so here we are. This is what the game, this is just the basic gameplay. This is what you're going to be doing for the remainder of the game. You can see everything's laid out like a board game. I don't know if you've played Settlers of Catan, but it's got kind of that Settlers of Catan look. We've got our enemies. We've got their flag. You can see the blue, white, and red French flag up in the upper right corner. You can see your units with the big old swastika symbol on it. I'm so glad they did not take the swastika out. This would not be a World War II game if they took the swastika out. Shame on you, Capcom, for taking the swastika out of Bionic Commando and instead placing it with an eagle. What do you think? Americans are more evil than Nazis? I know some Europeans think that. Especially during the President Bush days. Okay, so you move around the reticle. You got a little, the white circle hexagon is what you use to move your units. You'll see over in the bottom right corner X, Y, Z, and if what that is, you can actually ignore that, because what that is, if you're playing, unless you're playing this with a mouse that was specifically designed for the Sega Saturn, those buttons are useless. The mouse, this game kind of plays like a PC game, like Panzer General or Panzer General 2 for the PC. If you do have a mouse hooked up to your Sega Saturn, then you would click those buttons to bring up your hot menus. So, but since I don't have a mouse, and honestly, this game I think would be less playable with a mouse. It's a nice idea, but in practical terms, I think it's just better off playing with the good old-fashioned Sega Saturn 6-button controller with left and right trigger and start button. So let's get down to how we play. You push to bring up the menu of when you're. So we'll go back to where it was at. Okay. Yeah. So push the C button to bring up the menu of where you want this character to move. You click it, you can select I want to move right here. So let's go attack this guy. Veteran, his attack is 40. My scout's attack. My scout's attack. It's been a while since I played this. Map, go with that. Let's go. Let's just re-click on him again. Let's look at info. Okay, so his attack with the 20mm machine gun down there in the bottom. You've got the PSW 222. I don't know what the PSW stands for. Probably Panzerscheiser Water. Scout car. It can move 8 units. It holds up to 55 fuel. Its search, that's how much sight it has, is 4. Its radar is 1. I'm not actually sure what they mean by radar. I don't know if that means that the airplanes can't see you with one radar, or because search and radar seem to be, you would think are the same thing, but for some reason they give 2 different factors. But maybe as I continue playing this game, I'll finally figure out the difference between search and radar. Maybe it's about how much you can be undetected. I'm not totally sure on that. It's defense. This scout car has 0 defense versus an airplane. It has 8 defense versus ground units, specifically tanks and people. It's got 8 defense versus ships. So it's not a very strong car. It's a scout car. It's only used for scouting. And it will probably blow up if you are aren't careful with it very easily. So we'll go down to attack. The first icon with the little flag right there represents bases. The 20mm gun does 10 damage towards bases and buildings, and the 7.92mm machine gun does 3 damage towards bases and buildings. The second icon obviously is an airplane, does 10 damage towards airplanes and 5 damage with the 7.92 machine gun. Moving on, tanks, 30 damage with the 20mm, 5 for just the regular machine gun. For soldiers, troops, it does 40 damage for soldiers and 45 with the 7.92mm machine gun. I guess because you can mow down that flesh easier. We've got does no damage for battleships, no damage for submarines. The arrow is its range, or how far. There's actually a difference here between range and aim, and how much bullets, or how many times you can shoot. With the arrow that you see pointing diagonally is how many spaces that you can shoot. So like artillery, let's see if we have an example of artillery here. Let's go back. Here's some artillery. Click on it, press C to click on it. It tells you its range right there. Let's press C again. I'm going to go down to info. Yeah, see right here the arrow that points up for a 550mm cannon. Its range is 5. So you can double check that just like anything. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, what? Sorry, I missed that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. Sorry, I just graduated from tech school, so I'm still learning how to count. All right. So that's what the range is. Now let's go back to let's go back to info. This is very important in any strategy game, is knowing your units and how to use them appropriately. Then after the arrow, we see that both the 20mm gun and the 72mm gun, they are just one space, so you have to be adjacent to use this. The next is the crosshair is actually its aim. Now I don't really understand what scale they're using here because it's not in percentage, because if that was the case, that means with the 20mm gun they have a 12% chance of hitting your opponent, and with the 7.92mm gun they'd have a 4% chance, and that's not how the game works. The manual doesn't really explain those numbers or how they work, but what I have noticed from playing the game is that the lower the number, the greater the chance you are to do more damage. So I think it's kind of like golf. I think that the higher the number, think of it as like the higher the number for that crosshair icon, the more spread shot you have, where the lower the number, the least spread shot you have. I think would be the best way to I know it doesn't kind of make sense, but really basically, in all due respect, that crosshair doesn't really matter. Your opponents, when they attack, they're not really going to miss so much. Well, I take that back. Let's go back and use the artillery. Let's go use the artillery, for example, and see how they have this set up. Whoops, can't move another unit there. Yeah. Press B to cancel that. Let's go over here to our 150mm gun. Let's click on it, go to info. Okay, well they both say 14 is their underneath the crosshair. For the 500mm cannon, you can see in the far right bottom corner, next to the bullet, one over from that, the crosshair, 14, 14. Yeah, I'm not sure what it means, but it's really not that. I don't think it's really that important. And finally, the bullet that you see over there is actually how many times that thing can attack. It's its ammunition. So for the 550mm cannon, if you look at the range, for the range that it can shoot far, the number 5 in range, the arrow pointing diagonally, you can do that 5 times. For the 150mm cannon, for doing the number 1 range, remember arrow pointing diagonally again, that means you can only shoot, when you're shooting in close proximity, you can only shoot that way twice. So these artillery guns, you need to keep them behind your front line of defense. Never use an artillery gun. Never use an artillery gun for the front line of your defense. I can't think of any situations that would be a good idea, because not only are they weak against ground attack, but they also it's just a bad idea. They can only shoot twice when it's in close proximity. So if you're getting invaded, you can only defend yourself twice, versus if you put you behind front lines, you can fire way more than that. So that's basically just a rundown. Let's show you what attacking is like here. We'll go to... Oh, before let's just show you basically how basic attack works. So let's click on scout car here. What was this guy's attack here? This guy's attack... Okay. His attack is 5 versus cars, or tanks, excuse me. So, these scout cars should do a lot of damage. So let's try it. Let's go to the bridge. So we're gonna go move to the bridge, and we can attack. Can't convert. So let's go to attack. Press the C button. Now when we go here, we can choose where we want to attack. It gives us a little. We're gonna choose what we're gonna attack with. Are we gonna attack with a 20mm gun? Or are we gonna attack with the 7.92mm machine gun? And I thought it said which does more damage. Let's see. If we do a 20mm gun against that. Okay, here we go. Now it's comparing our stats. So the PSW 222 with 52 gas, 10 units, can move 8. It's a scout car. It's training. It's got, I think, 5 bars on there. It can hold. Let's see here. Hold on just a second. I need to get my wife's phone. Hold on. Okay, so with the Panzer PSW 222, it's gas 52, it moves 8, 10 units, scout car. T stands for training, E is experience. Now this is very important. Experience is what you use to level up your units, like an RPG. That's what makes this game so awesome, is that not only is it a strategy game, you can keep using the same units each time, and you can transfer those units by allocating them to the next level. And it's just an awesome feature that this game has that keeps you want to keep playing just one more turn, because you really don't want your units to die. Because I'll tell you, the best units in this game for me personally are the paratroopers, because once you level them up to their elite paratroopers, they come in, you drop them, they can take out enemy bases crazy fast. And if you level up their training, if you level up their experience, experience is how you level up your units. So if you take for example, just a regular infantry, and you max out their experience, you can upgrade them to a new unit. Training is how well they fight. So as you can see, these veterans on this screen here, for the French, looking at the French flag here, you can see their attack is 40, their speed, or their dodging range, is 12. It's 10 units. Their infantry, that's what the I stands for underneath the number 10 units. They have 0 experience, so they're not going to level up, and at least unless I lose this battle, then they might get some experience, but I doubt they'll level up. T, and you see the T and the E bars. The T bar is training. So training is how well your people will fight in combat. So the more they fight, the better they get at fighting. Makes sense. just like the more you practice anything, the better you get at it. And E is experience, which is used for leveling up. Okay, so we can see here, if I click on this using C, we're going to go into attack. Now we got stats here. We've got attack 40 for 40, defense 80 for 30. Yeah, it plays it kind of fast. We go into a little animation here. It's French versus Nazis. Now they're inside a building, so they have a little bit more defense than I do. But fortunately for me, my scout car is still better than them, even with their defense. There's a soldier that collapsed. So attack 40, 30 terrain was 20. They got 20 plus terrain, so my total was 29. There was just 34, but I had a better unit. A lot of things to remember. If you're a fan of games like XCOM UFO Defense, the original that is, the new one I really like as well, but I can see why it'd be hard for someone to go from the new XCOM to the old one, because it doesn't require quite as much attention to detail. If you liked the original XCOM, then you'll probably really like this game because it requires a lot of attention to detail. Let's see, I want to finish these guys out. We got a German bunker here. Got some bunkers here. So we're gonna take out some bunkers. So let's go here. Man, this airplane's got lots of range. Click C to click on it, brings up the range. Click it again. Be careful how many times you click, because if you press C 3 times rather than 2 times, you're going to end your turn. I think that's one disadvantage of this game, is I don't understand why. I mean, I guess it's better than having it left on remove, so that way if you hit 3 times you delete your unit, and that would be disastrous. I would have preferred them to leave it on info, because 9 times out of 10, when you come to this menu, you're going to want to look at info more than, probably even more than attack. I've looked at info way more than I've looked at attack. So let's look at info here. Okay, so we got a bomber. You can rotate it. Press A and C to zoom in and out. If you're a fan of airplanes like me, then that's a lot of fun. You should get to look at the details on it. It's a pretty detailed game for being 1995. This is, I mean, games were still 2D in 1995, and it really wasn't until 1996 that 3D was taken off with great games like Super Mario, or Mario 64, Super Mario 64, and the whole 64-bit area. I mean, this is still 32-bit, so pretty impressive. We have here an ME-110C. It's an attack. It's an aircraft, and it can move 10 spaces. Its fuel is 54. Its search range is 4, and its radar is 1. Its defense against other airplanes, as we can see there in the corner, is 35. Its defense for tanks is 15, and its defense for ships is 30. So it's great against other airplanes. It's great against battleships, but when you're taking this up against ground forces, especially tanks and anti-artillery, it's not so great. It could be a goner. So we can look here at its attack. With a 20mm gun versus a base, it does 10 damage. For a 250kg bomb, that's a pretty big bomb. That's 20 damage. Against other airplanes, it does 40 damage with a 20mm gun. And of course, you can't do any damage against an airplane with a 250kg bomb. Which, that's not entirely true, because what if you wanted to bomb an airplane that was on the runway? But they don't really factor that in. They pretty much assume that the airplane is always flying, even when it's over a runway. So the 250kg bomb is not, you can't do damage with that. Against tanks, you can do 20 to 20 millimeter with the 250K, 50. Soldiers, 80 damage with the 250K. And our loadout for it is so. Well, that will take care of our problems real fast, won't it? So, let's crap, I just ended right there. And I just warned you all not to do it. See what I mean? Choose artillery here since we did that. And I did not save. What did I tell you guys? Told you guys, save your data. It is extremely important in this game that you save your data. Let's take out that soldier. 5 units, okay? We're going to do a long shot. So I'm using my 150 millimeter gun, and since its range is 5, they don't have a chance of firing back, because infantry can only shoot things within the same proximity, or near proximity. There we go. The city is ours. Some cool animations. What's nice is that you can actually skip this if you get tired. I noticed that the animations, as cool as they are, they can really slow down the game. So if you're really just wanting to get through the level or see what's going to go through the next turn, the top 3 buttons on your Sega Saturn, the X, Y, and Z, those buttons that appear there on the screen, just in case you're using a mouse, which, like I said, I don't recommend. Use a controller, it's way more easier. Press X and you can turn animation off. So Y brings up, Y allows you to cycle through unused enemy troops. The E next to a unit means that its turn is finished. And Z brings up, oh, we'll go over Z later. That's like a whole hour of talking in itself. It's tons of charts, and trying to interpret all this can be a little overwhelming if you're not used to it. So let's just focus on combat, and we'll go back to Z. Alright, well, let's see here. Now, one thing that's important to remember is that the only thing that can take over cities, in fact, I'm trying to remember if they actually show on this right here. Let's press C to look at his stats again. I thought there was a way to check whether or not a unit can take over a city or whether they can't. Save game, load game. Next, repair. We go central base systems, units, info. Maybe it's in the units. Not available in standard mode. That's right, only in campaign. Yeah, I forgot about that. If you're playing in standard mode, I'm just doing standard mode for tutorial reasons. If you're doing campaign, you can carry your troops on to the next mission, but in standard mode, it's just playing for fun. So that would be important if you want to learn how to level up and evolve your units. But you can't do that here because it's a standard map, and so the units you have in this game are the units you get. That's what you get. Airplanes, tanks. Where was it? There's something here that lets you. I really should have played this game before I started making this YouTube video. I mean, I put 50 hours into it, but I've been so busy with my job and school. Okay, well, just to spare us some time, maybe I'll find it eventually on my next YouTube video, because there's no way I'm going to be able to teach you everything there is to know about this game in one video. There is a way you can check to know which units can take over cities and which ones cannot, but for now I'm going to make it easy and say, you know what, troops are the only ones that can take over city. So in order to take over city, kind of like I don't know if you guys have played Advanced Wars for the Game Boy Advance. My brother was way more into that game than I was. I was more into Fire Emblem. See these Ju-87Bs, or JUs, excuse me. I did not mean to say Ju. Ju-87Bs. So, have to be very careful. But it does say on the back of the cover, right here, that a portion of the proceeds from the sale of Ironstorm, this game will be donated to the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. So, if you want to support and keep the memory of, as George Satiana said, those who forget their past are doomed to repeat it. If you want to support history, buy this game. And a portion of the proceeds will go to the Holocaust Memorial Museum. That is, if you had a time machine, you could go back to 1996 when this thing came out, or 1995. Now if you buy it, it's probably from some guy who doesn't really know what he has and won't take the time to learn it. So his loss, your win. Okay, so this thing, going back to here, 250 kilogram bomb. It does 100 damage towards enemy troops. Okay. We are going to attack with a 250 kilogram bomb. It's 100 damage to these German rebellion infantry. See, evidently it's got the German flag, so I'm guessing that these guys were rebelling against the Nazis and they retreated to France. And Adolf Hitler said, "We're going to punish you." I forgot to turn animation off. Okay, and then we'll finish them off with these guys. Let's turn animation on just because it's fun. Attack using BF-190s. Let's find those guys down in there. Let's attack. Now I got 4 things I can choose to shoot. I'm going to use my 20mm machine gun, and I'm going to use it on this one little infantry dude. So prepare to watch the amazing video of one man being chased down by 10 German Baron planes. Again, like I said, the detail is just amazing. Oh, there it was. Okay. There's some good pilots able to shoot one guy out of the city. Too bad they worked for Adolf Hitler. It would have been nice if they joined us. Alright, now we have an open city here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our troops here, infantry. We're going to claim that city. Now remember, it's always important to know how much an infantry can move. I was thinking about moving there, but I made a mistake because you can't reach it. And so you really want to plan your moves in advance before you even do it, like playing chess. So we press C to find range. You can go there. Press C again, just in case if you wanted to know. You can move 3 spaces. So go 1, 2 spaces. Like that. Now we can attack or we can end. And we do not want to attack that. Let's see, how can we attack that bunker? No, we don't want to attack that bunker. Bad news. Done. Now that we've moved there, we can choose to take the city. See how it's in the bottom right corner between the X axis and the Y axis. There's 12X, Y5. There's a purple. That represents the enemy. We're going to take the city now. Our turn is ended and the city is ours. And taking, just like Advanced Wars, taking cities is how you earn income. And income is what you need in order to produce more troops. So now that we have a free spot right here, we can click on it. And we can't allocate because we're using standard mode. We can't. If you were playing this on campaign mode, you could bring in your best troops using allocate. But since we're using standard play, let's go to make. And I want to bring in a supply car, so that way I can heal my hurt troops. Okay, and as soon as you create it, remember your turn. That unit is being built, so you can't use it that turn. Now we have this bunker here that's very deadly. Press C to look at its stats. Troops, it does 70 to 80 damage. Tanks with its 75mm, 60. It has 10 defense. If you look up here in the big box, it's got 10 defense versus airplanes, and it cannot shoot airplanes. So we're going to destroy it. Airplanes. Here's the JU 87. My apologies. Attack. 250 kilogram bomb. Okay. I really do love Jewish people, just so you know. I am not anti-Semitic. They brought us superheroes. They brought us South Park. They brought us Jesus. Jews are really cool. But JU-87 is a plane. Maybe they did not finish it. Maybe this will finish it. C. Wow. Yeah, this is a pretty big bomber. Gas is 80. Moves 12. That's huge. Training is 5. Again. Down to info. Okay, it has 250 kilogram bombs, so let's use it. Let's make sure it has. Let's check arms. It's been a while since I played this, so I'm just double checking. Let's go to arm. We have different layouts here. We've got 4 B bombs. 0. Oh, I'm glad I checked. I don't know why they call it B bomb. I think it's kind of dumb. Basically, it stands for building bomb. In other words, you can bomb bridges in this game to prevent enemies from crossing. Why they couldn't have given it a real name, I have no idea. I guess they ran out of space. We don't want torpedoes because there's no submarines in this level or ships. So we're gonna load up with the number 2 Roman numeral. See, there's Roman numerals here. This is what you use to select, and as your plane advances, you can get up to 4 different loadouts. So we want the 250 kilogram bomb because we don't want the B bomb because we're not trying to blow up bridges. Yeah, I'm just trying to get rid of this bunker because it will destroy my troops. Bunker takeover. Right there. Let's make an attack. Let's use a 250 kilogram bomb on an ebony Emmanuel. I think that's what we said. I'm not sure. Yeah. One of the problems is that when Work Designs try to convert this game from Japanese to English, is that Japanese syllables are way shorter than English words. So there's a lot of acronyms in this game. Seriously. Seriously. I'm wasting all my turns trying to get rid of this bunker. Try and get it with my paratroopers here. I know you're not supposed to use troops in your bunker, but because it's It's only got 2 units left, and I don't think it'll be that dangerous. And the attack, let's see. It's not going to be that bad. Yeah, attack's 80 for 80, but there's only 2. I'm hoping. Yeah! I don't know how machine gun bullets can destroy a concrete wall, but it does not matter in this game. Don't ever try that at home, shooting a concrete wall with bullets. Alright, and this base right here, if we look, it's an encampment, and nowhere in the manual does it say this, but I just know from playing the game, encampments are the best way to get terrain defense. By moving a tank over there, encampments give off more defense than cities. Cities give off 20% terrain defense, encampments give off 50% terrain defense. Unlike Advanced Wars, this is a defensive game. Advanced Wars, really, it's all about planning your defense and lining yourself up for an attack, preparing for an attack. Unlike Advanced Wars, which is about trying to eliminate the enemy as fast as you could. This one's really about letting the enemy come to you and kind of just knowing how to hold your ground. Terrain plays a huge role in this. You remember, they don't really say, it's kind of disappointing, they don't really say what the terrain does, but if you play it long enough, you'll know that forest gives off like 20 terrain, city gives off 20 terrain, bridges give off no defense, water slows you down, I think it's negative terrain. These lightly wooded areas, there's forests and there's woods. Woods give off like 5 or 10 terrain, I believe. But encampments, that's where you want to be. This tank. Ooh, now, one thing that's important to remember is when you have a city, cities do more than just give you money. If you go to a city, you can actually make stuff. So, since we have that city, let's make another artillery. Make 105 millimeter gun. Okay. And airports also can make things. So let's make. I think it's funny that we're Nazis, but we're using US dollars to buy German planes. Don't ask me how that works. Let's just buy another JU-87. You guys proud of me? I said JU. You guys forgive me. Okay. Stugs. Stug 3. These are good tanks right here. Let's move to the bridge. Let's back up. Let's turn animation off. Let's get that up here. Yeah, I didn't lose a single stug in that attack. Stugs are studs. Leave that right there. I don't really want to send my troops up against those bunkers. Not a good idea. I forget which weapon does more damage. Anyway, for practice sake, we'll just go ahead and take over it. Even though it's not a very good idea. We're going to end our turn there. We're going to take the city. That way we can produce more stuff. Oh, maximum units deployed. That's right. Certain levels, I don't know how in this game, I don't know how they determine how many units you're allowed to have. It varies, but as you play the game, you're allowed to hold more units until eventually you can hold so many units it's pointless to even worry about it. crazy. Surrendering the maximum multiplier. We're gonna end our. I guess we'll just press start and end our turn. Just because I want to move on to show you how to heal your units. So that's what we're gonna do. Weather's still clear. Terrain is normal. That's extremely important. Bad weather affects everything. Ooh, J4's got killed by 10 hurricanes. It's France's turn now. That must have been Britain's turn. France. Their turrets killed 3 of my soldiers. Their turrets killed 3 more of my soldiers. Their turrets eliminated my soldiers. Ooh, my Panzer, my PSW 222 scout car. I lost 3 units, 4 units. Belgians are making it. Ooh, Belgians. Ooh, my infantry did a lot more damage. Ooh, 7%. Germans, weather clear, terrain normal. Alright. Operation incomplete. Oh yeah, right now you can, okay, it automatically healed those. So if your plane is over an airport, it automatically gets fuel so it doesn't crash. If your artillery is right next to a supply cart, it automatically gets refilled. If a soldier is standing over a city, they automatically get more troops. That's extremely important to remember. Okay, so these guys are hurt really bad, 5 units. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the supply cart down here right next to him. Done. Okay, and then what I can do is I can go here, click at C once, then click C again, go down here to where it says repair, and I can hit repair. And it went from 5 units to 6 units, so that wasn't a very good repair. I'm not sure, it's kind of random how well they repair themselves, but I guess 6 units is better than 5 units. Hopefully. Okay, we're going close to here about 50 minutes now, so I'm going to actually stop the recording here, and I will pick up on teaching you more about how to play this game on our next video. We'll start covering over, I've basically just gone over the basic combat. But now on our next video we're going to talk more about how to read your map, these sub-menu buttons, what they're all for, the stats, the info sheet, your base, how to repair, save, load, there's system options. This is really right here what determines what makes the game hard or difficult. If you want to be able to turn sight on or off, being able to block your line of view, weather on or off, because weather determines a lot of different things. Hexes on or off is just simply aesthetic. I prefer to have the hexagons on because then I know how far I can actually move. Having them off I think makes the game too confusing. Turning the animation on or off, this is one of the things that makes working designs awesome, is that the original Daisenryaku for the Sega Saturn Advanced Wars, you could not turn the animation on or off without coming to the option menu. Working Designs thought that was cumbersome. They decided to put X as your hotkey button for turning animation on or off, and boy does it really help the game out. More than you would think. Automatic supply, you can turn that on or off. So we'll get more into that in my next video. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully you learned something, a little bit about one of my favorite strategy games, Iron Storm, Daisenryaku for the Sega Saturn.